Hello, hello, hello. Hi, everyone. As always, I'm going to wait a few minutes to see who pops up. And it's funny, I was just thinking, I hope I am on the right account because I've done that once before. Hey, Raquel. Yeah, I did a complete live video, full everything. And next thing I knew, it was like I'm on the wrong account. So it's like I had to screen record because at the time, like I couldn't save it unless I did it right at the time and it would have saved to that account. So I had to screen record it, then I had to upload it because then Instagram wouldn't let me do it as a full video. I had to split it up because they would only let me do 15 minutes at a time. So that's always one of the things that I hope that does not happen again. So I'm hoping this is the right account. But yeah, it is. I just double checked. So how have you all been? I know that it has been a while since you last saw me, and I do apologize, but a big part of that is why I wanted to come on here and talk to you guys today about starting over. So before the summer ended, I wanted to make sure that I gave you all a lot of content to make up for me being MIA throughout the spring. However, the last 2 weeks have been super crazy with me having a lot of deadlines, so it was like I just can't make it. And I had to tell myself that's okay. That is okay. And I feel good about it. And I'm glad that I'm able to do this video with you all today. And even though my schedule had something completely different for me to talk about, I was going to talk about this video 2 weeks ago, but I feel like it's perfect timing. And everything else that I have, I'll just talk about that whenever I come back in September. So this is going to be my last video for a while. Then I'm going to take a much needed break to recuperate. And as of Friday, I will be out of the office for a week, because I have just been doing entirely too much. It's one of those things where at the time that you sign up for something, it doesn't seem like a lot. But then when you really get into it, it's like, oh, wow, it's a lot. So I'm taking the time to recuperate, to regroup, so I can come back better and ready to work on all my projects, to continue the existing projects, and to start new ones. So I'm really looking forward to that. And this is the last time that you all will see me before I turn 32. So next Tuesday, August 9th, will be my 32nd birthday. And I am super excited about that too. Even though it does not seem like the time of the year for my birthday, I'm still really excited for it. And I probably will talk to you all about my experience last year. Because I don't know, I may have mentioned it briefly in a previous video, but when I tell you, like, the transformation that was going on with me last year, like, I was sick, and whenever I get sick, like, I just go through this reset. It's like I purge, because whenever you are physically sick, it's something in you that needs to come out, So when I tell y'all, like, it was a lot of stuff that I let go after that birthday, but when I tell you, so many amazing things happened after, and it just showed me the beauty of letting go. So I might talk about that in the future to let you all in. So it's like I'm super excited to see what this year will be like, and I'm just open to receiving it, no expectations, because in the past I used to be really big on that, like expecting people to acknowledge me, but I can do all of that for myself, so that allows me to just be in a place to receive. And that way you have no animosity toward people, you're not angry, you're not upset, because you're able to give to yourself whatever you expect other people to give to you. And also related to starting over, so I had been teasing my copywriting course, and the original release date was going to be, I think, July 21st. It's not going to be August 25th. And I had to be real with myself then, because sometimes I do think I'm Superwoman. I can do everything, but I have to come to that realization, like, no, you can't. You could do a lot of things, but you cannot do everything. And it just did not make sense for me to continue my workload and promote it. So it is going to come out August 25th, so you still have time to sign up. And I did share an exclusive code with my mailing list, but I might open that up to the public. I don't know. Usually I do a giveaway the week leading up until my birthday. Did not get a chance to do that, so that might be something I do whenever I get back from my break. And if you all have any suggestions, let me know. But with the way that inflation is set up, gas prices are set up, it's like 9 times out of 10 it's probably going to be money. Last year I was giving away free copies of my ebooks, but it's like, nah, I think I need to help the people out. So it probably will be like a gift card giveaway or either something via PayPal. Haven't figured it out yet. But, like I said, I am open to ideas if you guys have anything that you would like to share. So let me do a time check here. So it is 6:07 on my computer, meaning it must be 6:05 on my phone. So let's go ahead and jump into tonight's video. So based on tonight's title, you pretty much know what we're going to be talking about, and I've even mentioned it a few times. Let's start over. And my original title was going to be It's Okay to Start Over. But I feel like I've said that before. And sometimes I feel as if when you say things, like the weight of it doesn't really resonate with people. Because it's like, yeah, it's okay to start over. But yet and still you don't see any forward action. Once you're able to verbalize that, it's like, yeah, it's okay. But it's like, but what do you do after? So I wanted to have something that made it comfortable. Something that made it seem as if you don't have to do this alone. Like, we can start over together, which is why I wanted to title it Let's Start Over. Like, let's do it together. And even with where I am in my life right now, like, I'm starting over with a lot of things. So I would love for you to join me on this journey of starting over and to give you all a backstory about where the idea came from. So in my family, we have birthdays back to back to back, so July, August, September, October, November. So it's a lot of birthdays, and there are even multiple people who have birthdays within the same month. So we're in birthday season in my family. And I was talking to a family member on their birthday, and I asked, it's like, well, how do you feel? And the person responded that they didn't feel that great because they felt that by this age, and they're in their 40s, that they thought they would have accomplished a whole lot more. They thought they would have done a whole lot more. And I was like, well, you still can. Like, you still have time to do it. And they were like, you make it sound so easy. I say, because it is. You just have to make the decision that, okay, this is what I would like to do, and figure out what it is that you need to do in order to make it happen. And of course, it takes people a while to get to that point before they realize, like, yes, I do want to do something different, but oftentimes it's the fear of what they will be losing. And oftentimes, like, you've already lost so much. One of the biggest things that we lose is our time. That is something we will never, ever, ever get back. And I've probably mentioned this to you guys before, like, a lot of the time that I wasted in the past, I wish I could get that back. Entertaining people in situations that I probably should not have. Like, I wish I can get that back. But now I'm at a place where I realize I can't. And I'm just learning to accept that. Where I am. Like, okay, so what can I do with the time that I have? And even though I'm not sure of how much more time I have, I know I have time right here, right now. So I'm going to make use of it. So I was like, how many other people feel this way? For me, birthdays are a joyous occasion. It's a celebration. And I've always been a person, who wanted to fight to prove how old they were because I've always looked younger than I am. And, birthdays for me, it's like, yes, I'm getting older, and it's like, especially being the baby of the family, it's like getting older. It's like, okay, I'm really an adult. If you didn't notice that at 18, 20, like, I'm in my 30s now, I'm an adult. So for me, I welcome getting older. Like, it's a beautiful process for me before a lot of other people. I'm realizing it's like, the older that they get, it's like more of those regrets sink in, more of the guilt, the shame of the past. It robs you from experiencing joy in the present. And I realized the main reason why is just because of the fear of starting over. When you live life a certain way for so long, you feel as if that's all that there is. And even though it still may not be the best situation for you, that's your norm. You feel as if this is the way that life is. So anything that's different from that could be a threat to me. Who knows what I will lose walking into this new season. But I want to challenge people. Think about what you might gain. Think about what you are stopping yourself from gaining and refusing to start over. Like, there is so much more on the other side of where you are. And that's something that I wish I would have known years ago. Like I told you all in the past, it's like I feel as if my life really has been a lot of, starting over. And the biggest thing about it, I was not open to starting over. It was like I had to be forced to start over. And when you fight against it, that's what makes it difficult. And I probably have mentioned to you all that I used to be very stubborn, very stubborn. So if it was something that I did not want to do, it's like, you are not about to make me do it. But the only person that I cannot argue with is God. So whenever it was definite, like, this isn't me, this isn't a person, like, this is God, it's like, you have no choice but to start over. You have no choice but to move. But when I tell you, like, I would fight for as long as I could. And I didn't mention this at the top of the video, but I'm also going to cross post this on Masterpieces Writing, because I feel as if this relates to your professional life as well. Your personal life, your professional life, all of it intertwines. And whenever one's not right, it could be because another area is not right. And I want people to know that this just isn't related to just your personal life. Like, it's way bigger than that. If you are in a career that you have been in for years and you feel as if it's just something that's paying the bills, but it's not really fulfilling, you can start over. And I'm not telling you to quit your job, which a lot of people are saying that Beyonce is telling people to do nowadays. Like, no, I'm not saying that, but you can plan to start over at a new one. And whenever you plan, the transition is much easier, instead of feeling as if, like, I have to just up and leave and now I have nothing. I don't know where money is going to come from. And then it's like you start to get desperate. Like, every single application, this has to be the one that comes through. But when you plan, you save yourself from all that stress. And I'm able to tell this to you all because I did the opposite. I up and left my job, and then I was like, uh-oh, what am I going to do? Bills still need to be paid. And it's like, I was thinking it was going to be an easy transition for me, but it can never be easy without a plan. I'm sorry. Yeah, it's still possible, but things are never easy without a plan. And I am here to tell you that if you want to save yourself the stress, the headache, just plan to start over. And instead of just hoping and wishing and praying that something will happen, which is another area that people fall into, thinking that, okay, I'm going to stay where I am and I'm just going to hope an opportunity pops up. No, you have to go and get it. And especially as far as your professional life, it's like, you have to go where you want to go. Like, it's not going to come to you, even though sometimes, yes, that might happen. You just might be blessed to just be in the vicinity, of a new opportunity. Oftentimes you have to go and get it. Like, it is not going to come to you. You have to decide to make that move to start over. And getting back to your personal life, sometimes the reason why you might be scared to make that career move is because you've never really done that at all in your life. Like, you've just allowed life to happen to you instead of figuring out how to navigate through life, instead of just allowing it to happen to you. And I was that person. And something as simple as what I got my degree in college. Even though, yes, I love psychology. But the more I think about it, psychology should have been my minor. But because I started with it as my major, I felt as if I had to keep going. It's like I felt as if I could not deviate from that path, because that's what I told people I was going to study, not realizing it's like I made that decision at like 17. And it's like, there's no way that, like, you can be married to ideas that you had when you weren't really sure when you made it. Like, come on, but I was not thinking that way. I felt like, okay, so I gotta pick something, so it's psychology. And like I said, still do love it, still do remember all of those classes, had some amazing professors, but like, it still wasn't really what I wanted to do. And I wanted to go out of state to college, but I settled for what was here, even though I love my experience at LSU. So I just continued to do, like, okay, what's safe, what's comfortable, instead of starting over. And even though I do know that at the end of the day, like, life still happens the way that it is meant to happen, who knows what would have happened if I really would have took a chance and started over in a new state with a new program. And not even if, I didn't get a chance to go my freshman year, if I would have went like sophomore, junior year and started over. But it was always the idea of like, oh no, like, I don't want to lose what I have here. I didn't want to lose that comfort. I didn't want to lose that convenience. And I was even considering doing a study abroad program my junior year. The reason why I did not want to start over. A lot of the classes that were available were not going to transfer over. And it's like, you know what? I'm not staying in school any longer than I need to. So guess what? Not going to do it. And like I said, like, that has been my life throughout my life, even with family members. And I mentioned this to you all before, like, during that college era, I had a lot of strained relationships. Some were even estranged relationships with my family because of the circumstances at the time. And a big part of the reason why I decided to go straight through to grad school was because I did not want to go home. I did not want to start over. I just could not see myself going back and things would still be awkward. Like, I did not want to face myself. So I was like, okay, let me do what's going to give me some comfort for the time being. And that was go to grad school. And that was a miserable 2 years. And it was because of that fact. And again, had I just been willing to start over, who knows what would have happened. I probably would not have to have struggled in the way that I did, because when I tell you, it was very difficult to make it through that time period. I was talking to one of my clients yesterday and telling her about that. Like, it was just difficult for me to function because so many things were happening, and when I tell you, they were major life events that were happening. It was like, I just could not believe it, and they were back to back to back, and it's like, oh my God. So all of 2013 was like a horrible year for me, and it rolled over into 2014. So I always say, by the grace of God, I made it. However, I still do know that that situation probably would not have happened. And even if it was meant to happen the way that it happened, which I know it was, it probably would not have been as difficult had I just been willing to start over. And even with those family relationships, when I tell you, even after that period, I did not want to start over. Did not. Even when it was looking like, look, I don't know how you're going to stay in this apartment. I don't know how you're going to keep bills paid. I don't know how you're going to keep food on the table. But, sweetheart, you got to do something. Going home was always an option. And at the time, like, I didn't even realize, like, how grateful I was to have that as an option. Because some people don't. But I was like, nope, I'm not doing it. I'm not going back. Because, again, what did I go to grad school for? If that's the case, I could have went home then. And I was like, I'm going to stay here for as long as I can. So what did I do? I decided to move just a little bit closer to home. Like, okay, let me save some money this way. But that move was way more expensive than I anticipated. It's like, I'm moving to a smaller town. Like, I was in a city. Like, I didn't understand. Like, why are my expenses more than what it was then? It was a very crazy experience. But even still, it's like all of that was leading me to start over. And eventually, it was like, all right, I give in. And that's where I am now. And I talked about that before, about like how difficult of a decision that was to make years ago. But when I started to grow, when I started to mature, it became easier to make that decision to start over, because I wasn't looking at what I would be losing. I started to look at what I would be gaining, because look at how much I lost. When I count up how much rent I spent, it's like, that was ridiculous. And even when you think about, like, I could have had multiple cars, probably could have had a house, like, who knows, because that's a lot of money that you invest into renting an apartment. And of course, it's not, throwing shade on anybody who still chooses to rent, but just for me, because I was trying to avoid starting over, it's like, look at how much you spent trying not to do that, and it just would have been easier just to start over. But like I told y'all, I was very stubborn. Very, very stubborn. And even in the midst of that starting over, I was starting over again in romantic relationships. And I was always the person to run. I talked about this in last year's video on me retreating. If there was an issue or a problem, I was not willing to work through it. I was willing to go. It's like, look, you handle that on your own, so bye. And of course, now I know that whenever you're not able to confront a situation, that's you not knowing how to handle your emotions. And even though I know some people might feel as if that works for them, like, if it ain't right, I'm out. But at least try to figure out, like, if you could come to some kind of understanding with the person. Don't ghost people. Don't ghost people. Even though I know some people are a lot. Some people are really toxic, so it is best to use silence. But in normal cases, do not ghost people. At least try to have some type of conversation, get to some understanding. But even in going back to that situation, like being in, like, even though, in the past you may have had, like, like people say puppy love, but like being in my first real adult relationship, like that was a lot for me, because that was something I was not used to doing. And when you're confronted with all of the trauma that you've been burying for years, all of that just boils up to the surface. Like, it is a lot. It is a lot. And throughout the whole entire process, it's like, it just was so difficult. It just was so hard, because I was being challenged to start over. To start over with all of the misconceptions that I had about this person, to start over with all of the misconceptions I had about me, and to let go of all these false ideas of me wishing that this would have happened, could have happened, should have happened, because I used to replay a lot of things over and over in my mind, trying to figure out, like, okay, how could I have done this differently? How could I really have gotten what I wanted out of the situation? It used to keep me up at night. I used to be freaking miserable and was running myself ragged. Like, and that was the thing about it. Like, it was no one doing this to me, even though at the time it felt like that. Like, well, I wasn't experiencing this until you came along. Truth be told, I had been experiencing it for a long time. I just figured out how to bury it, so I did not know, it was still there. But like I said, when all that stuff started coming up to the surface, it was apparent, like, something has got to shake, and like I said, throughout that whole situation, it was a lot of possibilities for starting over. And I'm not going to lie, I would go through the motions. Yep, I would go through the motions. But when it got to the point where it was like, all right, so you have to either, show up, or what's the other one? Like, show up, shut up. I don't know, put up, shut up. Whichever one of those. And it's like I chose to go, because I just could not see myself starting over, But the beauty about all of those things that I have mentioned to you all, whether it has been my professional career, whether it's been my family relationships, my romantic relationships, I have been able to start over yet again. And it has been such a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful experience, because now I know what it really looks like. Like, starting over, yes, it's scary, but it's necessary. I made a post a few days ago, like, you have to be willing to embrace the change. And it's like, yes, it's like, growth is a process. And it's going to hurt. It's not going to be fun. But when I tell you, like, it's necessary for you to be better. Like, it is necessary for you to grow, for you to fully be who and what you were purposed to be, what you were called to be. It's like, it is very, very beautiful. And I probably would not be sitting in front of you all now had I not been willing to start over. So my message to you all tonight, if there is something that has been a desire of yours for years, something that has been in your heart, something that you cannot get out of your mind, but you are just scared to start over because it seems so distant from what you once were, no. Let that go. Do not hold on to that. Be willing to start over. And one of the things a lot of us are scared to do is to fail. But I'm learning, like, even in the things that you don't necessarily get right, that's a chance for you to see how to get it right going forward. Even if it's something you just try to find out, this isn't for me, at least give yourself the opportunity to try. Instead of hoping things would be different, instead of hoping things would be better, just give yourself that opportunity to start over, to at least try. And like I mentioned to you all time and time again, even with me being a writer and an editor, that is something that has been in my heart. Not editing, I would say that. That just came with the territory. But being a writer is something that has been with me since I was 5 years old. But I was trying to go that practical route, trying to stick to that, because that's what I had grown accustomed to. Not realizing, like, at some point I wasn't going to be able to fight against it. And I wasn't. And now I'm just open to the experience. And when I was telling you all about, having to figure out how I'm going to keep bills paid and keep food on the table, that was 7 years ago. That was 7 years ago. And even throughout that whole entire process, I still was fighting against it. It's like I just could not see myself being a business owner in that way. I still wanted that to be the side hustle, not realizing, like, this is going to be the hustle, that's going to set you up for your purpose. Like, you just have to be willing to start over and go with it. But again, because it was so distant from what I told people when I first went to college, I told people I'm going to study psychology, going to go on and get my master's so I can be a licensed professional, have an office of my own, so people can come in and talk to me about all their problems, for about $300 an hour. Like, that is what I planned on doing with my life. And once I started to see, not really into that, it just kept changing. So because I still wanted to have a title, not going to lie about that, because, hey, it sounds nice, to have all these different letters and stuff. So I was like, okay, so maybe I'll be Dr. Erica. Like, maybe I'll be a professor. Even though teaching really is something that is innate to me, I don't think it was meant for me to do it in that way. And once I saw, like, wait a minute, you mean for me to be a professor, I got to do a lot of research? No, not gonna do that. So it moved to an instructor. It's like, okay, this is a little bit more laid back, a little bit more chill. But the crazy thing about this, y'all, like I interviewed for an instructor position, got the job, but because I was still in school at the time, I was getting my master's. I was not able to teach because I still had classes at the time that they wanted me to teach. So when I graduate, get the degree, and I hit them back up, crickets, nothing. So it was never meant for me to be in that position, but I still was trying to make it make sense. I still was trying to be somewhat close to what I had told people I was going to be, what I was going to do, not realizing that was God the whole time trying to force me to start over. All those times of going back to the drawing board was me trying to avoid really just stepping into the change that God wanted me to see, where He was really taking me, how He wanted to transform me, and just giving in and just being willing to just let go. And that is the biggest thing, letting go. Like when I tell y'all, like that is one of the things that will free you from so many things. If you feel as if your mind won't let you be at peace, if you feel as if the people around you won't let you be at peace, if you feel the job isn't peaceful, if you feel like you end up in all these situations where it's chaos, it's confusion, it's destruction, if everything around you just feel is negative, choose to let something go. Choose to let something go. Those things that no longer serve you, that no longer feed your spirit, start letting them go. And then you will see the difference. You will see the change, and you will be more open to starting over. And even with friends, that was a big thing for me as well. Because I felt like, okay, these are the people that I started with, so I have to stay with them. No. And because I was not willing to let go, I had to be forced to let go. So don't trade places with me. Because even though, yes, now, things are much better on the other side of it. But going through that process was very hurtful. It was very painful. But all because I was fighting against starting over because I wanted to keep holding on. So just let go. Like people always say, let go and let God. And one thing that me and my therapist spoke about last week, she mentioned to me that, it's not only important to have faith, you have to hold on to it. And that was the one thing that I struggled with. Like, okay, yes, I could have faith for some things, but it's like, okay, you got to give me some kind of clue, some kind of indication that this is going to work out. But that's not what faith is, and when you hold on to it, without a sliver of a doubt, like, regardless of what happens, like, I'm going to be all right. I'm going to be okay, and it's like, I do not have anything to worry about. I do not have anything to fear, because I'm just open and I'm just receptive to the process. So again, like I said, I just hope that this message has inspired you all to be willing to, number one, let go, and most importantly, just start over. Like, dreams do not stop just because you reach a certain age. If anything, they just evolve. So anything that you want to do, anything that you feel as if, oh, it's too late for you to do, start doing it now. Start figuring out what it's going to take for you to accomplish those things and go forward. One of the things that I love most is during graduation season, and when I see people who are 60 plus. I think at my sister's college graduation, there was a woman who was in her 80s who was getting her degree. And when I tell you things like that, like now I'm even getting emotional, like things like that bring tears to my eyes because it's like they were not afraid to start over. And if anything, at that age you would think like, nah, if you didn't do it when you were younger, because again, cognitively, you function differently. So it's like you're not at your prime, but when I tell you like the dedication that it has to take, and even when I was in grad school, I admired seeing the people who came back after they already had families, after they already had careers, because that's a lot to balance. And here I am. All I have to do is balance school, and I'm complaining, and it was just beautiful, like just seeing them being willing to start over. And no matter how many times it takes you to do something, do it until you get it done. Now, of course, I'm not saying, if it's a situation that you just want to make happen, just to make yourself feel better about it, and it's a situation you need to let go, that's not what I'm talking about. Because some people might take this as a sign to still try to stick out the relationship that is not serving them and being like, oh, we can start over together. While in some cases, yes, that is true, but no, that's not what I'm talking about. Like, I am talking about the desires that have been planted in your heart. And you would know You know, not the things that you are trying to force to make happen, like the things that have been with you for years. You know, and like I said, they're constantly on your mind. They've always been in your heart. Like you always get these reminders and these signs of confirmation, even with the people that you talk to, like you're going to forever be surrounded by it. And I think I might have mentioned this to you all. It's like all throughout my schooling, grade school, college, graduate school, like there has always been someone who refers to me as a writer, someone who saw my ability to write. And of course, like I said, I was trying to run from it. I was trying to ignore it because it's like, hey, you know, that's just a hobby, you know, something I know how to do. But it's like, nah, that's who you are. And this is tied to what you have been called to do, because it's through your writing, through your words, that you will be able to reach people. I get that now, but at the time, I didn't. That's what I'm talking about. You know, the things that have always been a part of you, the things that you just cannot let go, you know, in a positive way. In a positive way, like I said. Those negative situations, let them go. But you know, if it's something like you just cannot let go, so regardless of what that is, if it's starting a business, starting a new career, even if it's starting a family, a lot of people are afraid to try relationships again after they've had a bad one after another one. Like, no, like that's just that situation. That does not mean you're no good at love. You should not try again. Just start over, and start over the right way with the right intentions. Not expecting things to go the way that you want them to go, but just embracing them how they're meant to go. And that is a big difference. That is a really big difference. And you will be more at peace whenever you realize that you're just embracing and you're not forcing. Because that was another thing I would try to do. Try to force things to go the way that I wanted them to, and created a whole lot more damage in the process. So again, just be willing to start over, and don't wait tomorrow. Do it now. Do it today. And whatever it is, figure out what that's going to look like for you. What is it going to take from this moment on? And no, you don't have to do everything today, but just start the process of starting over. Even if it's getting rid of negative thoughts that you've had that told you that it was not possible. You know, even if it's getting rid of that negative idea that you have of yourself, even if how you see the world is ugly, even if the relationships that are around you are not the best for you, figure out what it's going to look like to get you closer to meeting that goal. You know, because with all of us, it's like we are meant not necessarily to be happy, because I feel as if that's something that's like subjective. So whatever happiness is, you know, it might be different from person to person, because some people are happy being miserable. So I had to be careful with how I say that. But I think we are all meant to serve a purpose, and we are all meant to be at peace as we're serving that purpose, and we are meant to experience joy as we serve that purpose. And with those words, it's like, okay, I know the definite meanings tied to those. And, you know, just take a moment to look them up. Even if it's hard for you to figure out how to relate them to your life, just take a moment to look them up and see how they speak to you. And happiness and joy are two different things. And that is something that I have realized, because I can be happy as long as things are going my way, but it disappears as soon as it's not. But with joy, it does not matter what is going on. It does not matter if what's going on is making me happy, sad, if it's making me angry. You know, if I'm disappointed, it's like I'm still going to experience joy, because again, I still know that me being here is serving a greater purpose. And that's all that I hope for you all. That's all that I want for you all, just to be willing to start over, to start living with a purpose, to start living in purpose, to start operating with a purpose. You know, because that is the reason why we are all here. And like I said, let's start over. Let's do it together. None of us are meant to do anything alone. And I think that's another reason why we fear starting over, because we feel as if like it's just us doing it by ourselves. But even if it's only you who's making this individual change, know that there are so many other people who are taking a similar step at the same time as you. Like I said, I am continuously starting over in so many different aspects of my life. So I'm right here with you. And like I always say, it's like, even if you just want to reach out to talk to me, to ask questions, like feel free to do that. Like use me as a resource, you know, because again, my main purpose is to serve. You know, so in any way that I can help bring people over to this side, you know, and like I mentioned in one of my videos from the end of last year, I love it here. And is it always great? No. No, is it always happy days? No. But are there always joyous days, peaceful days? Yes, they are. Faithful days? Yes, they are. And I just want you all to experience the same. Hey, Drake. So I was just wrapping up and I was telling everybody about why it is important to start over. I feel as if we all have a purpose and we are all meant to operate in that purpose, but we cannot do so until we let go of the things that are stopping us from living in our purpose and operating in our purpose. And again, one of the biggest things to help us do that is having community. How have you been? And I feel as if community and unity is one of those things that is going to help us not only reach our goals, but exceed our goals. Like it's just going to continue to help us elevate and to grow. It's going to help us soar. And one of the things that I talked about with my therapist, it's like just knowing like it's all right. I'm all right. It's okay. I'm okay. Being able to just accept those things as truth. And because you were so married to the idea that things were not going to be okay, that things were not going to be all right, why can't you be married to the idea that things can be okay, that they can be all right? All it takes is that shift. And again, like I said, I am right here with you. So we are starting over together. And one thing I wanted to emphasize, like, I've had a lot of starts and stops in my life, and the biggest reason for those starts and stops has been fear. Make sure that you get to the root of what's causing you to stop instead of keeping you going. Because again, like I told you, I had to be forced into starting over. But once I realized what was really in the way, and for me, it's just the fear of fear itself, like very simple things. And I might have mentioned this before in previous videos. So even the process of me getting my driver's license has been what, almost 2 decades in the making, because of all those starts and stops. And it was just the fear, and mainly me not wanting to let go. And like I mentioned at the top of the video, like being the baby of the family, it's like me growing up was a very difficult thing. Not necessarily because I did not want to grow up. I did not want to make other people uncomfortable with me growing up. So there were a lot of things that I shied away from, even though I started out enthusiastic about it, like super excited. But when I started to see other people were uncomfortable, they were making me uncomfortable. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to stop. And I have had to start that process multiple times. But guess what? I still did it. And I'm just going to continue to keep starting over until it is done. And I just want you all to just not be afraid to start over. Like, there is so much beauty on the other side of where you are, and all you have to do is just be willing to reach for it. Again, like I said, your homework for today, not tomorrow. It's just figuring out what it is that you desire most and figuring out what steps you can take right here, right now, in the present moment in order to reach it. It is, resetting is powerful, and I've had to do that like so many different times in life. So many different times, but I've been grateful for every single time. Now, was I grateful at the time that it was happening? No, because I felt as if my whole world was just being shaken up. As if whatever I knew as the truth, it was a big lie. And it's like I had to adjust to that. But it's like being in this truth, knowing that being in a different space is more beautiful than where I was. It's like, what can I say about it? It's like, I can do nothing except for be grateful. Just be appreciative of it. So, before I go, did you have any questions? So let me do a time check. So good, because I didn't want to stay on here too long. And because this will be the last video into September, I wanted to make sure that, you guys got as much out of me as possible. So I'm just going to stick around to see if there are any questions. And also, like I forget to mention all the time, make sure that you like this video, that you share this video, that you comment. Make sure that if there's anything you'd like to discuss with me off of this live, make sure that you DM me. You can also go to the link in the bio, go to my website. I think my email address is in there somewhere, but if not, it's masterpieceswriting@gmail.com. Like, you can always reach out to me. And just waiting to see. And also, you can browse my website, and I still won't be open to accepting any new clients this month, but in September I will be open to new clients. But if you just wanted to chat, if you wanted to book ahead, if you wanted to see how we can work together, make sure that you go to the link in the bio, go to my website, browse around, and check things out. Also, make sure that you visit my Gumroad store. Make sure that you browse everything. My Pay What You Want sale is still going on there. I haven't figured out when I'm going to end it yet. So make sure that you take advantage. You can get up to 50% off for ebooks as well as my bundle deals. And I am going to have my course up there later this month. So be on the lookout for it. But I was really upset with Gumroad. So someone else joined. Hello. So I was really upset with Gumroad because I love doing pre-orders, but they took that feature off. So that's why it's like I have to do my pre-orders separate. So I have to do it on Square, but then it's actually going to be on Gumroad. But it's like, why stress myself out? So I'm just going to wait. And of course, if you wanted to pre-order my copywriting course, it is called Copy This Copywriting for Business 101. You can go to the link in my bio and pre-order it now. And I believe, is it $29.99? But hey, I got a secret. So I told my mailing list that if they use code 10 off, they can get $10 off to get it for $19.99. And I want to share that with you all too. So 10 off, so 10. So OFF. I had to really think about that. Like, wait a minute, what does 10 off look like? Hi Ruth, how are you doing? So again, if you go to the link in my bio, the code will be 10 off, so 10OFF. And this course is perfect for people who are interested in growing their business, and copy just isn't their thing. It can help you grow as a freelancer if you're looking for a way to make some extra cash in your freelance business if you're already a writer. Also, if you're looking for a side hustle, like there is so much money to be made in copywriting, and it was something that I did not even offer in the beginning, but someone reached out to me, and once I saw, like, wait a minute, I think I can do this. So now it's a regular part of my services, and I just want to teach you all how to do the same. So I'm sharing the basics with you all in Copy This Copywriting for Business 101. Awesome. So again, since we had someone else join, did you have any questions for me? I just finished wrapping up about Let's Start Over, and just to reiterate the main points, in order to be willing to start over, you have to be willing to let go. And as Drake mentioned, resetting is powerful. You just have to be willing to let go of what was and embrace what is, and continue to be hopeful for what will come. Like, that is one of my prayers, like every single day. Just being able to look back and reflect and remember how far God has brought me, but to not dwell there. And to be content with where I am, to be grateful and appreciative of where I am, but also to remain hopeful for what is to come. Because again, I know that there is so much more that will be there for me in my latter years. And I cannot wait to get there, which is why being another year older does not bother me. Like, it makes me so excited. It makes me so happy. Awesome. Awesome. Great. And if you all had any ideas for future topics, make sure that you DM those to me. You can email them. You can also comment. And I'm always open. And I do have some great topics to talk about whenever I come back in September. And some things that have been a year in the making that I wanted to talk about last year. But Hurricane Ida came and interrupted those plans. But I knew then it was meant to be done a certain way. So I'm not going to do it until that certain way presents itself. So again, continue to hold tight for that. And in the meantime, I just hope that you all continue to take care of yourselves, continue to love yourselves, to love others. And it is a very crazy world that we are in. It's like every single day you see something else that, the media wants you to fear, but just continue to remember, that you are exactly where you need to be, doing exactly what you need to be doing. And if ever you feel as if you're not, then it might be time for you to start over, to figure out what it is that you need to do in order to make the transition from where you are now to where you will be. But remember these words, which is something else that I repeat to myself almost daily. It's all right. You're all right. It's okay. You're okay. So continue to remember all that, and I know for a fact that we will be all right, and continue to remind yourself that you are more than a conqueror. You are an overcomer. So absolutely positively nothing out there will be able to prosper against you, because it's like you're already covered and God's already got it in control. So I hope that those words speak to you, and I hope that you leave this video empowered and inspired. And I just hope that you guys just continue to be out there prospering and growing and just continuing, to just be and to be at peace with where you are. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you all next month. So talk to you all soon. Bye.